in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host.
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. If the voice sounds familiar, yes. I was on For the Record this morning from 7:30 until 10 o'clock. My name is Orrett Connor. I'm filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks today. Very interesting and important topics we will be discussing, so please stay tuned. Talk Today will be back shortly.
Talk Today is reminding you
to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
And now, back to Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. My name is Orrett Connor and I'm filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. On this segment of Talk Today, we will be talking about 16 days of activism against gender-based violence here in the Cayman Islands. And we're happy to have in the studio with us representatives from various government agencies, and I will begin by asking them to introduce themselves and tell our listening and viewing audience about the role that they play in their respective departments.
Good afternoon. I am Rohima Robinson. I am a senior probation officer at the Department of Community Rehabilitation, where I have direct responsibility for the through and aftercare team, that is those who are incarcerated and those who are on parole. I also previously worked directly with the domestic violence offenders, and so I would have been a DV officer prior to serving in my current role, and I'm here to share in today's first in the series of talking about the 16 days of gender-based violence activism.
Excellent.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, especially to the listening public. My name is Marisha Spencer. I am a parenting practitioner with the Family Resource Center. Just a little bit about the Family Resource Center. We are an agency under the Department of Counseling Services, actually one of 3 agencies. We provide free services, parenting services, and family programs to the community.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chrisani Atkinson, and I serve as the outreach coordinator for the Cayman Islands Crisis Center. And my main role focuses on promoting awareness on the issue of domestic abuse in the community, and also to enhance CICC's visibility to the general public. I also focus on providing ongoing support to women and children who have left our emergency shelter.
Okay, so let's start off by getting a brief overview of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence and its importance.
Certainly. So the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, it is an annual international campaign. It starts on the 25th of November, which is today, which is also Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women. Okay. Yes, and it ends on December 10th, which is Human Rights Day, right? The 16 Days of Activism, it serves as a platform just to raise awareness about the prevalence of gender-based violence within our society, and it's really a call to action, calling on the community, government agencies, and individuals to do their part as we work towards eliminating gender-based violence.
Okay, anyone wants to add anything to that?
I think she covered it all.
Okay, great. Okay, so the theme. There's
Yes.
always, is there every year, is there a different theme? And how does this one, if there is, how does this one differ from others?
So yes, each year there is a theme. However, we are now under the banner of Unite. And so the theme for this year is hashtag no excuse, unite to end gender-based violence. And we made it broad as opposed to limiting it just to women and girls, because we know that gender-based violence, it affects all genders. And so we want to promote that awareness so persons can truly understand. So essentially the theme for this year, what we wanted to highlight is just our zero tolerance approach from both an advocacy level and also a policy making level, that there's no excuse for violence, and also want to call on collaborative efforts of the community, the government organizations, other agencies within the community to all work together towards eliminating gender-based violence within the Cayman Islands.
Okay, and as you said, this campaign actually starts today.
Yes,
ends
today
on
is our
10th of
first.
December.
10th of December.
So we want to talk about all of those activities that you have planned. What do they entail? How people can participate, and who can participate in the activities as well.
Yes, Mr. OC, I'm actually excited to talk about the activities. And I'm hoping once I get through the community, we'll be equally excited to get involved. So for this year, we have a number of activities planned. So the first being tomorrow, which is Tuesday the 26th, or Clothe the Line project, which will be offered at the His Majesty Prison Northwood, and this will be a series through both prison and also with the Cayman Islands Crisis Center. Those aren't public events, so you won't be hearing much about it. However, we have, as part of our Clothing Line project, this is an initiative that has been offered by the Family Resource Center since 2003. So it really gives survivors and supporters of survivors an opportunity just to air out the experience of violence, and also really give them a platform where healing can begin, and to really raise awareness of gender-based violence. So what we do is we provide t-shirts, and victims, survivors, and supporters, they can design on those shirts, in a creative manner, just to express their experience of violence. And then those shirts are hung up across the community. So presently they're up so the public can view. So we have them hung at all district clinics, including Women's Health HSA and also the Georgetown Public Library. So they're there, the community, you can go look at it, engage, just having that conversation and really challenging the societal norm around gender-based violence.
I somehow recall at one point in time them being around the government administration building as well.
Possibly, that perhaps was before my time, but possibly. But I know that, we have represented different organizations within the community, so chances are.
And how important is it to make people aware of the existence of gender-based violence, the extent of gender-based violence as well? I did a little quick research, and points out that an average of at least 1 in 3 women is beaten, coerced into sex, or otherwise abused by an intimate partner in the course of their lifetime. And I would imagine, and that's within the Caribbean, it is pervasive as well. And like you said, when you speak about gender-based violence, you're not only talking about about women, but you know that there are instances when men are abused as well. Go right ahead.
Yes, certainly. And I just want to add to that point that we can't overlook that historically women and girls have been disproportionately impacted by violence. So that is something that in our raising awareness, we need to make it known that while it affects, all genders, women and girls are at the helm of the impacts of it. And gender-based violence, it disrupts lives, and not just for the victims, but it also impacts the community negatively, right? Because this is not an individual problem. This is a societal problem. And so it puts strain on the society at large, and so it is important that we all play our part in responding to these issues of GBV. Now, in order to respond, you need to be aware, and admittedly, and it is sad to say that a lot of persons aren't aware of issues of gender-based violence, and so this campaign is especially important because in order to respond, as I said, you need to be aware. So in our efforts, we want to raise awareness, call on the community, on government entities, private organization, individual families and home to lead the charge and to do their part in ending GBV.
Okay. I think you've mentioned some of the common misconceptions about gender-based violence, but can we dive a little deeper into that in terms of some of the misconceptions about gender-based violence?
Certainly. So the first one is we think about gender-based violence as only physical violence, right? And we want to make it known that gender-based violence is any act of harm to an individual based on their gender. So it could be physical, it could be sexual, it could be emotional, it could be spiritual, financial coercion, and so on. So it's any acts of harm perpetrated against another person based on gender. So it's not just physical violence. And especially when we talk about domestic abuse, people only qualify, some persons qualify only physical violence as domestic abuse.
And it doesn't have to be necessarily cross-gender as well. It can be, within the same gender?
Within the same gender, exactly.
Okay.
And if I may chime in.
Sure, sure.
I think, as you mentioned, crossing out of the domestic realm, I think persons forget that even in the workspace, if you are targeting somebody because of their gender, then it is also gender-based violence. So it really doesn't need to be a domestic setting. If you are targeting somebody because of, just who they are as a male, female, then that social isolation, whether it is the emotional, the bullying, the harassment, if that is the source of it, then it is equally gender-based violence, yes.
Okay. Ms. Susan, I have to get accustomed to the commercial breaks. We should take a commercial break now. Okay, folks, we're going to take a commercial break right here on Talk Today. Please stay tuned. We will be back shortly.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Protect your computers and mobile devices with security software to defend against cyber attacks through viruses, malware, and other online threats. Be aware of unsecure Wi-Fi connections when in public. If you need to access your online banking or sensitive information on your mobile devices, try disabling the Wi-Fi and switching to data from your mobile network. If you suspect a fraud attempt, please contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Prescription refills made easy at Savannah Pharmacy. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
This Thanksgiving, the Ministry of Health and Wellness would like to encourage you to hold the salt. 12% of Cayman residents always or often add salt or salty sauce to their food. Diets high in salt are associated with raised blood pressure, increased risk of heart diseases, gastric cancer, and kidney disease. To learn more, log on to www.gov.ky/steps or follow us on Facebook. Let's step into wellness together, Cayman.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We're discussing the campaign 16 Days of Activism Against Gender Violence here in the Cayman Islands. We have been joined in the studio by Miss Carleen Bramwell, who is no stranger to Radio Cayman. So I want to say welcome and good afternoon to Miss Bramwell and have her make some introductory remarks as well.
Thank you, sir. And thank goodness you're not used to the breaks yet, because this one came in right in time. It allowed me to get into the studio. Right. So my role in the Gender Affairs Unit is looking mainly at policy and legislation. That's the focus. So while these ladies are on the ground and operationalizing many of the legislation that is put into place, then I am sort of in the background pushing some of those things.
Okay. And that was timely too, because when I said, at some point in time we want to talk about, where we are as far as legislation is concerned, and you pointed and say, that's the person that you need to speak to.
The door in an orange shirt. To the rescue.
Okay, so we're going to throw the mic back over.
So just continuing on the activities that we have planned for this year's campaign. I'd mentioned about the clothing line project before. We'll also be doing our DVITP 3-day training starting on the 27th. This is a 3-day certification training for frontline professionals who respond to issues of domestic violence. Registration is required, and we're well on our way. Right, but just to make it known, there'll also be the Silent Witness March happening on November 27th, which Carleen, you'll be able to give a little bit more on the Silent Witness March.
So those of you who are aware, last October 18th, it feels like so long ago, we had to postpone the march because we were expecting inclement weather. So we then just decided that we would just put it in the 16 days. And while the Silent Witness March really focuses on victims and survivors of domestic violence and persons who have lost their lives in that setting, domestic violence is only one aspect of gender-based violence. So if we look at it as gender-based violence being the umbrella, then domestic violence is one, and as Rahima was saying in the last segment, the violence in the workplace is another thing that we have to be mindful of. And we can think about persons who are immigrants to our country and how do we treat those, whether they are male, female, or whatever. And also in relation to sexual harassment and all of these things are under the umbrella of gender-based violence. So the Silent Witness March will focus specifically on domestic violence, but we have to remember that all of these things are interrelated. And what happens at home shows up in the workplace, for example. You know, the impact of it shows up in the workplace. And this is why we say that, you know, all of these issues, a lot of the times people see gender and they equate it with female, but it's not. Gender is everything. It's male, female. It covers persons with different sexual orientations, people who see themselves as whatever, male, female, in between, whatever. And so it is really about the community and the impact on the community, and therefore it doesn't exclude anybody.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Carlene. We'll also be doing a Dress for a Cause on December 6th. So we encourage everyone, adults, children, within the workplace, within the schools, to wear orange and show your support in standing against gender-based violence. We'll be doing a community dialogue on the 7th at the Intergenerational Hub. Miss Carlene will also give you a bit more information on that one as well.
Go right ahead.
Right, and the theme for that really is looking at safeguarding women and girls against sexual exploitation. As I did mention at the start, you know, that we appreciate and are aware that gender-based violence affect all genders, but historically women and girls are disproportionately impacted. So it is important, you know, that much focus is given to women and girls and their experience with gender-based violence. We'll also be doing a open mic, a Floetry open mic night at the Harkwell Studios on December 5th. I'm especially excited for this one because it gives a creative space, you know, to raise awareness for community members to come together to share their experiences, and also just to have that sense of togetherness, you know, as it relates to our theme as well. It says unite, so looking at that collaborative effort. And though it is a difficult topic to talk about, it is important that we're able to have those conversations in different spaces. So not just a roundtable discussion, but going at the community, as we call it, the grassroots level, getting everyone involved. We do have a few poets confirmed, but it is an open mic, so community members can come on if you feel so inclined. You do a poem, you do a song, whatever creative way you wish to express yourself, you are welcome to attend.
And we have a resident poet right here at Radio Cayman as well.
Miss
So,
so Miss Suzanne will be joining us. Miss Suzanne, you're confirmed.
Right. So, and these things are important for us to also look at hope, because the idea, and just to go back on why it is that orange is a color for the campaign, it's because orange, as you can see, is a very bright, vibrant color. And what it represents and why the global campaign picked it is because with that vibrancy, it is showing that we want a world that is free of violence. And what other color, except maybe yellow, you know, represents that sort of real freedom, and you're bold and so forth. And with the Floetry, for example, when people can come and sing and they themselves have either had healing, or they know of somebody who has, or they're providing hope to somebody who is in that situation at the moment, that's the dynamics that we want to see in that particular show. So yes, we're talking about those things, but we're also speaking of how do you get out of that.
Sure.
And just to add to what you just said, Miss Carlene, if it is that understanding the underlying stigma that people face when they go through this experience, opening the dialogue in different ways gives people an opportunity to connect with the information. So it's not just, okay, I don't have a voice, how do I then express myself? I'm looking and I'm seeing different ways people are doing it, and so I have avenues in which I can then express my vulnerability and get the help I need.
Yes.
And speaking of a stigma being attached to these things, are you seeing a trend where more and more persons are being more open about their particular situation? There's a story that has grabbed the international media in France, where a woman by the name of, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Pellicot, where her husband has been convicted of drugging her over the years and allowing, various men to sexually abuse her. And she wanted the trial to be in the open. She wanted to be identified as the victim. And I think they've reached the sentencing stage now where they're looking to at least give the husband and his cohorts at least 20 years. But you're finding more and more women wanting to be identified, wanting to be the face. Can we say similarly in the Caribbean that's happening?
So,
do you know what's happening here?
Oh, absolutely. I would say that you can see that there's a shift from that culture of silence where persons no longer see that negative experience that they've been through as a weakness, but as a sense of strength that they now have to educate other people and to also advocate for others. Specifically here, we have had more persons coming out and speaking about the abuse that they've been through, but also looking to be out there, because even in the Silence Witness March last year, we had persons coming out and sharing their story. So you can see that persons are no longer afraid to talk about this issue. They are now recognizing that it's not a private matter anymore, but something that we all have to work together to eradicate.
Well, what I'd like to add, though, is that getting to that place, it's a journey. Because while it is that's where they ultimately get, with the support that we provide with the different services, what we find is, because we have some victims that we also serve at the Department of Community Rehabilitation, and what we find is, especially if they've been the victims of psychological abuse and emotional abuse, then that journey gets a little bit more difficult. So taking them through the process, that's where they ultimately end up. But we have to recognize that some persons have been so severely damaged, traumatized by what has taken place that is way off in the future. However, what we want to also add is that there's an element of the violence and the fear. While it is that both genders experience violence, all genders, I should say, experience violence, what the research tells us is that how males experience this violence is different emotionally from how the females experiences violence. While it is, for example, that the woman might feel that if you come and you knock on the door a particular way, you're going to kill me, the man might feel, oh, there's going to be trouble. Those are two different things. There's still fear, there's still some anxiety, but the experience is far different. And so when we look at all of those pieces, ultimately, yes, we see a decline in how many persons are remaining silent and, not saying anything, but there's a large number of women who are still on that probably the early rungs of their ladder on their journey, who still need that support to get out of that psychological, out of that emotional bondage, to be able to say, hey, this is a vulnerable space. I'm not feeling 100% safe, but thanks to the TCC, thanks to whoever else is out there, then I can find a safe space to then voice what my experience is.
Excellent. Ms. Susan, break now. Folks, you're listening to Talk Today. My name is Orrett Connor. I'm guest hosting for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We're talking about 16 days of activism against gender violence, taking place from today, the 25th of November, running through the 10th of December. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
This holiday season, let Kirk Market do the roasting so you can do the hosting. Visit in-store or shop online and order your traditional family feast, complete with classic roasted turkey and ham, all the tasty sides and trimmings. Let the chefs at Kirk Market be your holiday helpers so you can spend less time in the kitchen. Order online at kirkmarket.ky or visit in-store today. And don't forget to visit the florist at Kirk Market to find the perfect centerpiece for your table. There's no place like Kirk Market for the holidays.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
CUC Advisory. Customers are advised of a scheduled outage on Thursday, November 28th between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. for Courts Road off Eastern Avenue in Georgetown. For more information, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200, email service@cuc.ky, or visit their website at cuc-cayman.com.
It's a good time to get ready. It's a good time to know that the season is coming. So let your body know I'm preparing to be healthy, and I want my friends to know 50% off. So tell your friends today.
Hi, I'm Daryl Dakers from Health for Today, and with the holiday season upon us, I want to send you some holiday cheers. To kick the season off right, we're offering an incredible 50% off on selected items while supplies last. While growing up, I remember the excitement around the holiday prep. So give yourself the gift of health for this holiday. So call, why wait, 928-1503 or visit healthfortoday.ky and click on the link below the video that says 50% to view all sale products.
By popular demand, RAM water tanks have expanded their selection. In Grand Cayman, tanks available from 200 to 2,000 gallons. In Cayman Brac, 1,000, 2,000, and 2,850 gallons. And 2,000 gallons in Little Cayman. Or take advantage of the Sister Island special with 25% off shipping to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman on 600 and 1,000 gallon stackables. RAM water tanks boast superior strength, made to withstand harsh conditions and impact resistance. Order your RAM water tank today. Call 925-3822. RAM water tanks, built to last a lifetime.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. For those of you who are just joining us, I want to remind you who's in the studio with me. We're talking about the 16 days of activism against gender violence. In the studio, we have Miss Chrisanne Atkinson, who is with the Cayman Islands Crisis Center. She's the Outreach coordinator. We have Ms. Marisha Spencer, hope I'm pronouncing that right, from the Family Resource Center. She's a parenting practitioner. We have Ms. Carleen Bramwell, who's from the Gender Affairs Unit. She's the senior policy analyst in the Gender Affairs Unit, or senior policy advisor, not analyst, right? Advisor. Both. Okay. And we have Rohima Robinson, who is with the Department of Community Rehabilitation, and she is a senior probation officer as well. So I think we're going to talk a little bit more about legislation and policies now.
We'll do that, but I just wanted
Sure.
because we can't have all the legislation in the world, and we can enforce it as much as we want to, but at the end of the day, I think that a lot of this lies with the community itself. And why I say that is because, and going back to a point that Rahima just made in terms of, you know, when people feel comfortable to come out and say that this is happening to them. If the society does not have a supportive sort of a feel in the environment, then persons are not going to come to any of these agencies. That's the first thing. So the government will be wasting their money to have all of these agencies open if nobody's coming. And that's to my second point as well, that when we talk about the fact that gender-based violence affects everybody, it's not only that it affects you emotionally, or you see your neighbor and you're hearing fights at night. You are paying for that service. So when the police comes out, when the probation officer, when the victim services person, when the crisis center has to provide accommodation for persons, you as the or in quotations, taxpayer is actually paying for that. And when studies have been done that actually show the amount of money that those services actually cost, we haven't done one in Cayman yet, and I'm advocating that we actually do, because sometimes it's until we hear the monetary value of some of these things that we actually realize the impact that it actually has, not only on the person who's experiencing it, but others. So just going back now to how the society itself can basically foster or kind of encourage people to come out. Things like even how we speak about people on social media, how we comment on things, etc. It shows the attitude that we have towards violence, towards women, towards men that commit violence, towards women that commit all of these things. You know, so I think that is the important part, that we want every individual to understand that they have a responsibility individually as to how they're going to treat and interact with this particular issue. In the Caribbean specifically, there has been, I think, 5 studies done of different countries. And again, it's close to the global statistics of the 1 in 3. But the age at which people are experiencing violence is way young. That's the first thing. And also in terms of how and why, because a lot of the times too, we have to remember that this whole issue of violence, the underlying thing is about power, power and control. And therefore, sometimes even when we see, for example, women becoming more empowered from an educational point of view, they start making more money, etc., then their partners then become more insecure and more violent. So it's like you, on one side, things are happening to get things up, and then on the other side, it then ends up in violence, essentially. So I think that it's important for the community to understand their individual role, and just even the remarks that we make, how that can feel to a victim. Be sensitive to who might be around you, because even if you look in this room right now, you can count 1 in 5 or 2 in 5. So anything is possible. So we have to have that sensitivity as well.
And in keeping with that sensitivity, I find that sometimes we blame and minimize without even realizing it. One of the things that cause persons to not really want to speak, even if you take it out of a domestic space and go into the workspace, you try to report that, hey, this is happening to me in the workspace, and it is, how did you dress? What did you say? What did you do. We're sending the message that you are to be blamed for how you are being harmed, psychologically harmed in the workspace. And so we have to be very careful and sensitive as a community as to how we respond to persons who are facing gender-based violence.
And then so one of the things that actually can be done is that if you have a company, whether it's big or small, you could look to see what is my domestic violence policy, for example. You don't need to wait for the government to say that you must have a sexual harassment policy or you must have a domestic violence policy or any of these things. You as a person who is responsible for the care and protection of your people while they're there, at least while they're on your site, if somebody is coming into the workplace, for example, and harming somebody, that is your responsibility to stop it at the door. So I think it's important, again, for whatever the sphere is that you're in, to take responsibility for that particular area.
So we shouldn't wait for legislation. We shouldn't wait for the government to take the lead.
I've been working on the legislation for sexual harassment for the last 2 years. And while, yes, we would love to see it passed and done, the fact is that at least I know, for example, in Cayman, the larger companies, because they may have a multi-international sort of setting, they are then required to have things like sexual harassment policies within their workplace. Yes, we want to have it in legislation, but don't wait. Let's do it. And I think that is sometimes the best way, because it means that we own what it is that we're doing. So we are to examine our own selves and then say, okay, what can I do, whether individually, company, church, organization, what can I do to protect persons?
Okay, that's a good point for us to start off at as soon as we return from our headline news. Folks, please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
In your headlines, the latest statistics from the Economics and Statistics Office show just over 9,000 students were registered across government, private, and home schools across the Cayman Islands. In 2019, the enrollment was just over 8,000. The breakdown between primary and secondary is fairly even, with 4,515 students in primary and 4,527 in secondary. 118 students are recorded as homeschoolers across both primary and secondary. In international headlines, workers who clean planes, remove trash, and help with wheelchairs at Charlotte's Airport in North Carolina, one of the busiest in the U.S., went on strike today to demand higher wages. The Service Employees International Union announced the strike in a statement early today, saying the workers would demand an end to poverty, wages, and respect on the job during the holiday travel season. The strike is expected to last 24 hours. A landslide caused by heavy rains after a prolonged drought in La Paz, the capital of Bolivia, flooded dozens of homes early Sunday, sweeping away a young girl, spurring evacuations and leaving parts of the city without electricity. Torrential rain on Saturday caused a river to spill its banks, dislodging mud from a southwestern La Paz neighborhood where low-slung, poorly built dwellings dot the hillside. Rocks and soil surged down a narrow ravine early Sunday, wrecking some 24 homes and flooding another 40. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
This
holiday season, let Kirk Market do the roasting so you can do the hosting. Visit in-store or shop online and order your traditional family feast, complete with classic roasted turkey and ham, all the tasty sides and trimmings. Let the chefs at Kirk Market be your holiday helpers so you can spend less time in the kitchen. Order online at kirkmarket.ky or visit in store today. And don't forget to visit the florist at Kirk Market to find the perfect centerpiece for your table. There's no place like Kirk Market for the holidays.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Captain Charles Gerald Kirkconnell, 1891 to 1961. Charles Gerald Kirkconnell was born and raised on Cayman Brac. He was married to Olivine Elizabeth Eden of Grand Cayman, and the couple had 3 children. Captain Charlie was one of the founding brothers of the shipping and merchandising firm of R.B. Kirkconnell and Brothers Limited. Many Caymanian seamen were trained on Kirk vessels and later worked for national bulk carriers. Captain Charlie was also a shipbuilder who built the largest ship ever to be built in the Cayman Islands, the M.V. Kirksons. He and the late Bertie Foster were instrumental in helping to build the airport on Cayman Brac, which they both helped to finance. The clearing of the airstrip was done entirely by hand. Captain Charlie financed most of the houses that were built by seamen employed by NBC, as there was no bank on the Brac. He served as a vestryman for the Sister Islands in the Assembly of Justices and Vestry. Captain Charles Gerald Kirkconnell.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We're talking about 16 days of activism against gender violence. That conversation has taken place with representatives from the Cayman Islands Crisis Center, the Family Resource Center, the Gender Affairs Unit, and the Department of Community Rehabilitation. I think, Ms. Bramwell, you had the mic. I'm sorry. Yes, we do have a caller that we want to accommodate. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Good afternoon, OC, and good afternoon to the good ladies with you there today.
Good afternoon.
Just a brief call, really. First of all, to congratulate the ladies for yet again bringing this subject to the community and to sensitize people about that. I really relate to these ladies well, although I haven't met them, because my good better half used to work as a social worker in Cayman many years ago. I've got two issues. One is a daft question in a sense. The other one is a shameless plug. The daft question is this. A lot of times we see people, ladies usually, advocating, assertiveness regarding gender-based violence and so on. But then we find out that sometimes some of them are actually in those relationships. So that even as they are telling people, hey, if you are assaulted, ensure that you report the person because they are going to do it again. Then it is found that actually they themselves have been in those positions and they have not reported. Now, in a sense, maybe it's just human nature, but is there something as experts you might identify as like certain skills that you might use to ensure that people don't do that? It's a daft question, but maybe you can answer it. But finally, you've talked about the work that you do in terms of proposing legislation and policy and so on. I just want to give you a very shameless plug. I've got a number of courses which I have taught in Cayman before, which have to do with how you formulate legislation, how you scrutinize it, how you interpret it, how you avoid judicial review. And you might have even maybe read my little book on Cayman Islands legislative process. So if you ever need any training, please get in touch with me. OC will give you my number. I usually give one free course before you have to pay for anything. If you need me, let me know. Thank you very much. Please, OC, don't send me a bill for the advertisement.
I'll just take 10% of the proceeds.
I actually appreciate that offer.
Thank you very much. I'll hang up and listen unless you want me to hold on.
You can't hang up, but I'm going to endorse what you just said anyways. And I think that one of the important things is for people to actually know what legislation says. Because a lot of the times, too, not only as professionals, but more importantly, the persons in the society, they don't speak out about things because they're thinking, and one famous one is the whole immigration business. Yeah. There was a time, as Mr. O.C. would know, and he knows where I'm going with this, where you heard, oh, you'll be kicked off the island if such and such and such and such. When I'm sure in the legislation there was no such thing like that, but people continue to repeat the same things, and you tell your friend, and your friend tells somebody else, and all of a sudden it's gospel. So I think the important thing is to know what the actual legislation says. So if somebody is experiencing domestic violence, read through the domestic violence legislation to see what it entails, for example. And then we know that there are resources that can actually be of assistance, many of whom are around the table right now. So I think so that's why I said, maybe what we will do, sir, is one of these days we'll actually ask you to do a presentation to the community about legal issues, which I think would be, if you're willing to do that, we can either arrange a cost or something. But I think that's helpful.
Well, just a touch on that.
I'll be happy to do that. But in addition, I think to what you've said, I think there's something that needs to be done on the police side as well. I mean, you know this better than I do. Sometimes women go there and then they report, but most of the police officers are men, and then they don't take them serious.
Exactly.
And I mean, there are all these things which have to be done. But you're quite correct, and knowledge is very, very important. Thank you very much. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Billy. Rahima.
I think the first part of his question, though, I think we need to just cap on it again, because he mentioned the reason why some of the persons who are the proponents of these wonderful things are themselves victims. Earlier, I spoke about the stigma attached to it. Now, when women of I don't know what to call them. Women who are in certain positions are facing these things. The stigma is real. The struggle is real. When you think about what will my pastor say, what will my family say, what will my employer say, because it's not that they don't want it to be known, but then the messages I send, will it be skewed because you're a man beating you, why you're saying that, as opposed to this is a real issue that needs to be addressed. So it's very complex, which is why I said earlier, it's a journey. Ultimately, we want persons to come to the fore and say, hey, this is what is happening to me, but we have to be mindful that these things are not just physical, they're not just mental, they're deeply psychological, they're deeply emotional, and they're tied to so many different complex parts of who we are as human beings that we have to be sensitive when treating with it, because even the persons around the table may just be victims. Does it change the message? That's the question. The message is the same, but then we need to bear in mind how that will be perceived. If at all times these people disclose, what then will be the reception of the message? Will that be the same as well? And what is the greater good? So we have to add the women around the table, and other tables have to always be balancing those things. So it's very complex. One thing we want to do now is open the conversations as we began with, because in doing so, persons who have the experience will have an outlet to get there. And for those who are on the table, any table at all that are experiencing it, they too need the empowerment just as everybody else, and hopefully they're on their journey and will get there soon. All right?
Excellent. Ms. Susan, do you still have another caller? Okay. No callers at this point in time.
So I'm going back to what Rahima said, just looking at before victims can get to the point of seeking support, we as a society, as a community, need to work on eradicating that stigma. Because all the avenues for support can exist, but if there's still stigma within the community, no one is going to access services. So it is important that we really pay attention to, what role can we play in removing that stigma associated with persons experiencing violence of any form, which leads me now to just looking at some of the resources that are available within the community. So, for example, the Cayman's Crisis Center, which is doing an exceptional job supporting survivors and victims as well.
Thank you, Marisha. Yes, we have a wide variety of programs, not only focusing on addressing the issue at hand, but also trying to be more preventative in our approach. So we have, of course, our 24-hour crisis line, and that is the main point of access for persons. Can call in at any time. We're 24/7. We have our emergency shelter that's currently only for women and their children. But we also have our Estella Place walk-in, and that's for everyone that's going through domestic abuse. So that's men, women, and children as well. But we also have our teen and young adult program for at-risk youths. And in this program, we have educational sessions with both young girls and boys, and with that we want them to kind of break away from that intergenerational cycle of abuse. And going forward, we also have our children and youth program, and in this program, all children that come through, whether that's the emergency shelter or at Taya, we work with them on that level where we're trying to help them, trying to take that preventative approach, helping them to move away from that abuse. We also have our volunteer program, which is the backbone of our organization, and also we have our aftercare program, and this is where we provide ongoing support for women and children who have left our emergency shelter. So we don't just want them to come to the shelter, they get what we provide there, and then leave them there. We want them to have that ongoing support. Right, because as you know, it's a process, as Rahima said, and with that we have to acknowledge that persons are going to need support. It doesn't mean that they will need it every day, but we want it to be available to them in the event that they do need it in the future.
Okay. We have two callers. We're going to try to can we grab both of them before we go to the commercial break? Okay, first caller, good afternoon, welcome to Talk Today. That's our WhatsApp caller.
Yeah, OC, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, go right ahead.
Yeah, hello?
Go right ahead.
Yeah, okay, well, you're right now is in a tough position. You're in between four women, two on each side.
Actually, I'm very comfortable.
We're being kind.
Just say you're protected then. You're protected, right? But I just want to say in connection with this, there's a lot of men on this island that are being abused, and they are not saying anything because, well, maybe because we're macho and we're man, we don't say anything. But there is a lot of men that are being abused by women, and because you're a man, they really don't pay it any mind, you know? But I heard Mr. Billy say something just now about the police. Most of them are men and they don't. I think it was him, yes, that said that about when the women make the report, the policemen don't pay them. I was a police officer for many years, and I know that I have opened more case files than enough. And the women come in, show me the marks on their body where there was abuse, and they said, yes, we're going to take him to court. I want him to go to court and be chastised for this. The day before court, she comes in and say, he promised me he's not going to do it again, so I'm not going to court. I'm not going to take him to court again. But the part with that, so much time you spend on opening these case files and you're doing the investigation and things, which I had no problem with it, but it just brings back to me memory what Mr. Billy just said. I don't think that is true. The police officers that are men also take down them report, but the women come back and say that they don't want to go to court again. And you waste a lot of time doing case files, which that's what we're supposed to do as policemen. Yeah, we take down the information, But that is the situation on this island. Many men are being abused, and because they're men, they're not saying anything, and they're overlooked about it. So that's
Okay.
my take on it.
Thank you very much, caller. We'll have our panelists address that as well. We're going to grab our last caller. Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Connor and panel, ladies.
Good afternoon.
Great discussion. Carlene, you know this is something that's very, very dear to me. And I just, to the caller that just hung up on the WhatsApp call, thank you very much for bringing that particular topic up about men also being abused on the island. That's something that needs to be recognized also. But to Ms. Carlene's comment about the Sexual Harassment Act, and companies shouldn't wait for legislation in order to put something in place. Ms. Carlene, we both know that without proper legislation, these companies are not going to do anything, and that these are some of the sexual harassment incidents. Many of them lead to incidents of domestic violence. This legislation, I'm not saying respectfully against what you said, Ms. Carlene, but we cannot water this legislation down and say it's not needed. Companies are not going to put anything in place until it becomes the law. It is the same thing as with this residential tenancies amendment that I've been advocating for with rentals and so forth. No one is going to do anything if they know it's not law. So we need to, I understand.
I think what she was doing, she was encouraging companies not to wait until legislation,
I know that. I know that. I know Ms. Carlene very well, and I heard her really well, Mr. Connor, but I just want to put it out there, and she knows, I know she understands, is that companies, this is going to be just throw water over your head, because nobody wants to deal with sexual harassment. If anyone read that bill or the sexual harassment draft, it is very extensive. It covers a lot. I am happy to say that the government has done a good job with it. If they can get it passed, please to get it passed, because we are lacking in this area along with other countries. If we say we're recognizing human rights and we have to comply with human rights, we're talking about trying to legalize abortion and to comply with the Constitution and international human rights. Well, sexual harassment is on that same scale. And I understand, Ms. Carlene, you are absolutely right in what you said. I wish it was that easy, but we know it's not going. Nobody wants to deal with this issue, because it's a very sensitive issue and it holds a lot of people liable. But it has to be passed, and I hope if this administration don't do it, it doesn't seem like it's going to, I hope they will do it in the next one. I am going to continue advocating. Ladies, you're doing a great job, a lot of great information out there, and I look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday, March on Wednesday. Thanks, Mr. Connor, for holding you up.
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you very much as well. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue. Please stay tuned. Talk Today will be back shortly.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer. A $5,000 reward is up for offer for the return of a missing dog that goes by the name of Spiky Haggis. Spiky is white cream in color and is a Pomeranian mix. He's a small dog that has a distinctive scar above his left hip. Spiky went missing over a week and a half ago in the area of Selkirk Drive and Bimini Drive. The public is asked to keep their eyes peeled for Sparky, and if anyone has any information on the missing Pomeranian mixed dog, please call Cayman Vets at 525-5838. The number again is 525-5838.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walker's Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walker's Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Our only sale of the year is here. Yes, Black Friday is here at Winter Circle Sports, and so are those unbeatable prices, unbeatable deals. Everything is 10 to 50% off. Don't miss our famous small foot sales with sizes 5 to 7 on select shoes, discounted from 30 to 50% off. Choose from Skechers, Vans, Converse, Adidas, Timberlands, Under Armour, Nike, and Jordan. Get big brand names at rock bottom prices. Thank you to all our amazing customers for their support in the past 22 years. Shop today for the best deals and the widest selections. Winter Circle Sports, always a step ahead.
The Passport and Corporate Services Office is urging travelers to ensure their passports are valid for both travel and entry into their destination country for the upcoming Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. Travelers should renew passports ahead of travel time and apply for or renew visas early. For more information, call 345-649-7678 or email passportandcorporate@gov.ky.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We have guests in the studio discussing 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Representatives from the Cayman Islands Crisis Center, Family Resource Center, Gender Affairs Unit, and the Department of Community Rehabilitation. Some of our panelists will have to leave us, but we're going to generously extend the time of the others because we want to cover as much as possible. If we do have guests coming in afterwards, we'll just push them back a little bit, but this is so important and such an important message that we need to get out there. So I believe we want to address what the two previous callers spoke about as well. So I want to give you an opportunity to do that as well. Go right ahead.
All right. So our first of the two callers mentioned the whole idea of opening the cases for persons who then came back and said, take me off the list. Now, in dealing with the complexity of what we're talking about, one of the things the research tells us, again, is that in the whole cycle of abuse, there are some things that we can come to expect. So during the initial phases, you're going to be, yes, something needs to be done. And then you get to, okay, let me take a step. And then it's going to get to, you know what, no, I'm doing something wrong. This is really my fault. I'm to blame. So I don't want him to be hurt. So we have to bear that in mind when we entertain even the idea of how we treat with it. So what we have done as a response to this whole matter of understanding how the victim mind works is that our judicial system has put in place this fast track court. So what we've tried to do is to limit the time between the time those case files are open and when these matters are dealt with, because we understand that this is how the victim brain works. Not just that, we don't always now require that the victim be in full cooperation. Once the evidence is clear, then the court can proceed on that person's behalf, even if they don't support it at that point in time. So that's one response.
Okay.
Somebody also mentioned, I don't remember which of the callers spoke to it, but they spoke to not having support for men. One of the ways that my department has responded is that historically we've had the program that we call MNVP, Men's Nonviolence Program. And one of the things I remember that the men always asked when we presented this program is, what about the women? And so in response, one of the things we have done is that this year we're introducing the Intimate Partner Violence Program. So it's not just about the men, but if we do have women as well, then they can be included in this program. Because the reality of it is, as they mentioned, there are men who also face violence, and we have to account for how we treat with, how we empower, and how we shore up how they face the world after the abuse. Also, I wanted to mention some brief stats about my department, DCR. At present, we have roughly 210 victims on record to be served. We have 60 domestic violence offenders across teams, and when I say teams, we have the intensive supervision team, we have the general court team, we have the through and aftercare team, the specialized services team, and the programs team. Now, across these teams, the intensive, the through and aftercare, and the specialized teams, we have persons who are domestic violence offenders, whether male or female. Now, under the programs team, we have something that we call the Female Empowerment Services and the Victim Services, and that captures our females. So the others capture the males, while these two capture the females. But as I said, we're moving towards now also including this matter of intimate partner violence, which is not exclusive of any gender. It's not just men, but intimate partner, making it a general thing. Now, I also heard from the second caller something she mentioned about having that conversation continue. The reality is, and we keep saying it because it is true, it is so complex that while we want to run ahead and wait on the different pieces to come into play, we can't negate our responsibility on the ground.
Yes.
Because when something is built from the ground up, it is more sturdy than when it's built from the top down. And if we're both building at both ends, then what we'll have is stability coming together on both ends. So don't negate your responsibility. We're not absolving the people at top to say, hey, we need legislation to be in place. We're also saying don't negate your role as well, because that is critically important. I think that's the end of my list.
And I love that you alluded to the Men Done Violence program, because one of the things that we want to look at, having the conversation about elimination of violence, yes, there are efforts to support survivors and victims. That's all good and well, but we have to take into consideration the perpetrators, what level of support, because you really can't end the cycle of no form of violence without reform, without intervention for perpetrators. So I'm really happy that you spoke about the Men Non-Violence program as well. And like, I think before we went to the break, there was a little in-house discussion about support for men, and it was raised that a lot of persons within the community still is not aware that their service is being provided to men who are experiencing domestic abuse as a part of gender-based violence as well. So I'd like Ms. Chrisani just to touch on that a little bit, to just let our males know what services are available and how they can access that service.
Sure, but before I do that, I just want to add to a point that Rahima made about women going back, and there's always this question of why doesn't she leave, but it's also looking at the factors that are impacting that. So we have a lot of times clients come to us and they say that they're going back. Looking at the statistics, a woman is 7 times more likely to leave the abuse before she leaves for good. And with that, we always have them coming and saying that, okay, they're going back because, of course, they have the cycle of abuse where there's there's this phase, right, where they They come and they will shower you with gifts and words of affirmation that everything is going to be okay. And of course, in just being human, if someone that we know and love comes to us with that, we're going to want to be in that family unit. And of course, most times in these cases, there are children involved. Yes. And that's a big thing. So it's either they may be using things to threaten the person, their children, of course, using their children as pawns, or the victim may just want their child to grow up in that family unit without realizing the impact that it has on children as well. But also, another factor that we see is that they may also be threatening their other family members who are in the unit that they have. And we can't just say to someone that you just need to leave. Of course, everyone has their reason for doing whatever that they're doing. In regards to services available for men, we have our 24-hour crisis line, and I'm not sure if many persons know that this is available to men as well. And we also have our Estella Place walking clinic, and that's the main point of access for men. So we've actually had 4 men come in this year reporting the abuse that they've been going through, and we provide them with that support. It's just that we do not have accommodation, residence accommodation for them, but we are looking to expand that and be more inclusive with that service for emergency shelter, where we're looking to build a new shelter which will be available for women and children, men, and even the LGBTQ plus community.
So how important is that, having those options available? And we see, right now what she's basically saying is that the options are limited.
They are limited, but I think that there are ways and means that the agency has actually, and I know, for example, for social services also have gone around that, in that while you may not have a physical space like the crisis center to help somebody to get to, there are other forms of assistance, financial assistance, for example, where somebody can go and stay in a hotel, for example, for a period of time, or they find another sort of residence. So it is important in the overall scheme of things to have those options so that people do know that there is somewhere to go. Mm-hmm. I wanted to say one thing though on the issue of the withdrawing thing. I think one of the things too that maybe even the victim needs to remember is that for every behavior there is a consequence. So whether or not you're feeling bad that he said that it's not going to happen again, and so I don't want to go and tell the police or any of those things, the fact is that there has been a behavior that somebody else has done. So the consequence is to the behavior. And sometimes you can't forgive. You go ahead and forgive. It will make you feel better for sure. Yeah. But I think that is how we separate a person from their behavior.
And I wanted to add to that too, that this idea of trauma bonding. So at its core, these are traumatic experiences for people, and they may have different levels on how they internalize it. And the more extreme the trauma, then the more tight that bond is. And that, which is why I said earlier, the journey is really a journey, because until that person can break free of that trauma bond, then there's nothing else any of us can do about it. And it's real. It's not something that is in their minds only. It is something that is the reality for them. That is life for them. It comes with, imagine somebody promising you something that you've always wanted. You've wanted the house. You've wanted the family with one. So I heard one lady say she doesn't want any patchwork children. So she wants to have all her children have the same father in the same house, all of that. And so, yes, things are not where they are, but he's promised to do it. And guess what? He has now given me roses. So maybe let me see if he has changed. And every time, every other day, every other month, but he said he's going to try again. So I'm going to give him another try, because ultimately I want this dream that I have in my head, that somehow, and it's real for them, it's a real experience. And flip it again to its same for the men. She says she won't throw a big box on me again, right? And she really came back, and she was nice, and she cooked my meals and all of that. And so they'll keep giving these chances with the hope the sincere hope, the real hope. We might see it as foolishness, but they are really hoping that the person will do better next time around. And so I don't want us to negate the experience of the victim mind. It has gone through severe trauma, and this is one of the responses. Unfortunately, that is an impact of what domestic violence and violence overall does to a human being.
And I'm happy that Rahima, you mentioned, in terms of how we respond, which takes me to the point of resources available for those first responders. So like our DVITP training that's done, we do it 3 times for the year. We encourage, those organizations, those agencies who are working directly with victims and survivors to access this training program, because you become more informed about issues of domestic abuse, and importantly how to respond in a compassionate, trauma-informed way in delivering that support to the community.
And I think we talk about DVITP with the professionals who are doing this daily, but I think it's also helpful for friends, because it also takes an emotional toll on you as a friend, seeing the person go back, or seeing the impact on the children, or you're thinking, why on earth would you stay in a situation like that? Mm-hmm. So I think it's very helpful as well for not only a professional to participate in the DVITP, but also friends, family, church people, organization, because you're going to come into contact with somebody who has experienced some sort of gender-based violence. And we talk about domestic violence a lot, but even when we're talking about the wider scope of gender-based violence, you just talk about that trauma bonding. You can be like that in our workplace as well. You are used to being abused in that workplace. The person, your boss treating you like crap all the time, but you have this loyalty to the workplace. Oh, this is where my friends are. This is what I'm used to. So there's even that if you extend it.
And sometimes, sorry to cut to Ms. Colleen, and sometimes it's flipped. Sometimes it's not the boss who is treating you bad. It's the staff treating the boss bad.
Exactly.
But because you have this loyalty to the organization, then you stay because. But my role is important, and we go back to a question that our host asked us before, and I think the first caller asked, why do these people stay? Because they have other things that they feel are important, and so the trauma-informed response is always critical, because human beings, they have their reasons, they have their expectations, they have all of that it's a part of their reality, and they have to work it out with a professional to get to where they need to get to, where they can own it up.
Yep.
Yes. So as we're about wrapping up, but before we go and, just to give our final takeaways, I just want to remind about the events that we will be hosting to commemorate 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. So as I'd mentioned earlier, we have the DVITP training starting on November 27th to the 29th. This is registration based, and we would have already have participants registered already, but just for the community to know that this program is happening, and it is done 3 times per year. So if you're interested, you can reach out to the Family Resource Center at 949-0006, or you can send us an email, frc@gov.ky, and we'll provide information about registration. We will be doing our community dialogue on safeguarding women and girls against sexual exploitation. More information will be provided on our social media pages, and again, you can always reach out to the Family Resource Center or to the famous Miss Carlene at the Gender Affairs Unit. And lastly, we have the Floetry Open Mic Night at the Harkwell Studio on the 5th of December. That starts at 7 p.m. It's open to the public. It's a free event. No registration is required. We encourage everyone to come out, to use your creative expression and spread awareness about gender-based violence, and just to show your support and your dedication and just a sense of unification, as we work together as a community to eradicate gender-based violence within the Cayman Islands.
That was going to be my question. If for some reason you believe or that you're not either a victim or a victimizer, what can you do still to to support this cause, as well?
So certainly, in addition to attending these events, you can also volunteer with organizations who are directly supporting victims who are going through abuse. Just being aware of what abuse is, it, as Mr. Rahim had mentioned, it's a complex situation. So having that foundational information and understanding of what abuse is very important. And then when you build that confidence, being able to support survivors and victims, exactly, how do I approach this very difficult situation.
And just to add to that, Ms. Marshall, some persons may fall on both sides of the coin because over time victims do become perpetrators. And so what I'd invite persons to do, DCR is also one of those entities that you can come to. So whether you feel that you're a victim or a perpetrator or both, we offer services to everybody. So feel free to walk in and become a volunteer client. We are open in that regard as well.
And if you're a colleague of someone, or maybe even an employer who may detect signs of abuse, how can they go about reporting it or helping that individual who is silent about it, but the person who knows them knows that there's something, some underlying reason, there's something wrong?
And I think you help a colleague by even just providing information. You don't even have to say anything sometimes. Drop a leaflet on their desk or something. But yeah, so from an HR perspective, making sure that your employees know what the resources are is a helpful thing. And then also just being as supportive as possible in general. And I want to add just a plug, maybe these ladies won't say it themselves, but these organizations also take donations.
Okay.
For example, with the crisis center, as we know, people are going, are leaving the crisis center at some point. So they'll need things like pots, pans, etc., etc. And so, and as Chris also just said, the crisis center is trying to build a facility. So any organization out there who has some money and wants somewhere to put it, this is a good place to put it. So I think donations are the other ways of how people can help.
And, I'm going to say this publicly anyway. I thought about it for a minute and I said I'll say it off air. But, I have we have a young granddaughter, and there are things that we have purchased for her, some that she used, some that she had never touched and stuff like that. Things like that, do the crisis center accept things like walkers and things of that nature once they're in good condition?
Yes, once they're in good condition, we do accept them. We have our warehouse days. That's every Wednesday, 12 to 1 p.m. and that's located on Dorsey Drive. We're Unit 226. That's right next to Car City Service Center.
Okay.
But we of course, we do accept women and children clothing, but we also accept things from men. So we have our teen and young adult program, and majority of the participants in that are male participants, and we also want to cater to them as well.
Okay. And then, in a mass way, how the community can show their support is on Wednesday when we have the Silent Witness March. We would love to see a mass gathering of as many people as possible, all young walkers, everything, because we really want people to understand that this covers everybody. Anybody and everybody could actually be a victim of gender-based violence. So at 3:30, if you could meet us on the lawn of the Ola Glass House, that'd be great. And we're taking a short little walk down past the Georgetown Police Station, and all of these buildings are actually significant. The Georgetown Police Station, the courts, Parliament, and then we will end at Constitution Hall, because this is how things get done. Laws get passed, people have to operationalize it, so the police does their job, the courts does their job, etc. And then our other way of you showing that you support a world that is free of violence is on the 6th of December. We want to see everywhere covered in orange. Let's orange the world. Wear your orange, however you want to wear it, in your hair, on your body, wherever. Let's just orange the world.
And if nothing else, at the core of our human experience is relationships, whether you are in the workplace, in a home, in a school, whatever the case is. And so I would call, and I think we're all calling for every individual to do some reflection on my relationships. Am I causing harm physical, financial, psychological, emotional, whatever it is, to any other human being, particularly for this season, if it's gender-based, but, for all over, and to take stock. What are my next steps? What help do I need? What do I need to stop doing now? What do I need to start doing now? And to just start making those choices, because ultimately, while we're doing all of these campaigns, it is to get each individual to do their part in stopping gender-based violence. So whether it is that you're harassing somebody at work, whether you're beating somebody at home, whether you're bullying somebody at school, whatever the case is, relationships is where it's at. What is my relationship with my staff members? What's my relationship with my family? What's my relationship in the school? Wherever it is. And then what are my next steps? What I need to stop doing right now, and what do I start doing right now?
Compassion is the key right there.
Okay. I just have one other thing to add, because I know you mentioned how do we go about addressing something if we see signs, but what about if someone discloses to you directly that they are going through domestic abuse or any form of abuse, really? I mean, of course, first we have to believe them. That's where it starts, believing them, and also listening to them, just not only just trying to find a solution, but they may just want someone to listen to them. And of course, we have to support them on their own terms. So we can't force them to do anything. We want them to have that level of autonomy in their decision. So providing them with the resources that are available, the options that are out there, and allowing them to make that decision for themselves.
And sometimes we have a tendency also to, once you've given advice and the person for whatever reason hasn't followed it, that you want to abandon them at that point in time. How is it so important that we don't do that, we don't fall into that trap?
I mean, in looking at the entire dynamic of being in a domestic abusive situation, they don't have that level of independency. They're constantly having to go to the perpetrator themselves take away that from them. So we want them to have that, at least that in making a decision for themselves going forward. We don't want to be perpetrators ourselves trying to force them to do something. We want them to be able to make that decision on them, so having a sense of individuality. Yeah.
Okay. Any final comments before?
Well, certainly. I'm just looking at it from a preventative standpoint. We want to just encourage the community, not just survivors, victims, but the community at large, just to access, services that are available. So in particular, the Family Resource Center, we do provide parenting and family programs, and this is critical in looking at it from inception, right? So learning those positive parenting strategies really does offset how gender-based violence and how inequality may show up in our society. So just reach out to the Family Resource Center. We have a program for everyone, no matter your gender, no matter where you are, on the echelons within our society. We have a program for you that will suit your need.
Okay, well, ladies, I want to thank you all. Thank you for the tremendous job that you do as well. Sometimes some people think what they're doing is thankless. At the same time, you see results, but then, you have to do it all over again. And it takes a lot of stamina, on the part of the practitioners, as well. I'm sure that you all go through just as much stress, and at some point in time probably need a listening ear yourselves.
The counselor needs a counselor.
Yes.
Just like the doctor needs a doctor.
But I want to wish you all the best, for the 16 days of activism against gender violence here in the Cayman Islands. And we have our challenges here, because in addition to the whole stereotypical Caribbean situation, then we have all of these other nationalities as well that bring even so much more into the mix.
Cultural complexity.
Yes. Yeah. Ms. Susan, I'm going to throw it over to you for a commercial break. Ladies, thank you very much. Apologies for keeping you longer than you had planned, but the conversation, it was good, informative, and we know that our listening and viewing audience, as well, that they have been, glued in to the conversation, and we now hope that they will come out and support.
Thank
you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Take care.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments December 7th to the 14th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Wayne Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com. That's drporterkman@gmail.com. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
This Black Friday, it's time to shine. Rocky's Diamonds has incredible deals for everyone, whether you're treating yourself or surprising someone special. From November 23rd to the 30th, enjoy massive discounts on everything. Gold, diamond, rings, necklaces, earrings, you name it. Perfect gifts, perfect prices, and just in time for the holidays. Visit Rocky's Diamonds at 28 North Church Street, Waterfront Center, or check out Rocky'sDiamonds.com. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram for all your Black Friday excitement. Rocky's Diamonds Black Friday sale from November 23rd to the 30th.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. A little confusion on my part in relation to scheduling, but we're going to accommodate everyone, and we're going to probably have two shots at this discussion as well. But it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me now Miss Laura Eggleshaw. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm going to have you introduce yourself to our listening and viewing audience. Is this have you been in Radio Cayman before? Okay, so you should be okay. Let me get that.
Was here last week.
There we go.
Thank you.
And we're going to have you introduce yourself and tell our audience what we're going to be talking about.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Laura Eglishaw, and I wanted to talk today about Cayman's community and community volunteering. One of the things I wanted to mention, a date, if everyone can make note of this, is on the 7th of December from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. We're going to be doing free health screening at the West Bay Heritage Park. This is going to be done by HSA, who have volunteered their time to come out and help the Cayman Community Spirit, which is a volunteer group that we're trying to form, but we need more volunteers for this group as well. And hopefully it will be something that will take off in all of the other districts as well, having volunteers do annual things that are done each year so that people can know that that will be happening. As we know, growing up in Cayman with our grandparents, they used to volunteer a lot all the time. People always took care of the community. They visited people to make sure they were okay. And crime was low because of that. It's very well noted in psychology that, you know, when you have a healthy community, you have usually have a low crime rate. And we kind of want Cayman to go back to being like that sort of happy, healthy community. So Cayman Community Spirit is looking for volunteers to join them. At the moment, it's just a West Bay branch, but it would be great if other districts did the same thing, and we could have similar volunteer projects each year, maybe 3 times a year. So yes, it will be December 7th, Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the West Bay Heritage Park, free health screening. That's one of the first things we're going to do so far. And I'd like to thank Nurse Joanna Rose Wright, and I think it's Dr. Therese Prihe for committing to do this and helping me to organize it.
Okay, that is a very, very ambitious venture, and we know that healthcare, proper healthcare, you know, even in the Cayman Islands where we boast about the high standard of living, while at the same time we may have a high standard, we also have a high cost that is associated with it, and there are lots of people who are unable to afford the necessary health care. We have just seen heard about the results of the STEPS survey that was taken, and we know the vulnerabilities of people, you know, out there, healthy living, healthy eating, but yet there are persons who simply can't afford to purchase the healthy foods and everything else, you know, as well. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, we're going to talk more about this and about what people can do as well. Are there any particular skill sets that people need to bring to the table, or, you know, are looking for everything?
No, just a commitment. Yeah, trust is always important, of course, with these things, but we have to know that they're committed, not just say, I'm going to do it and then don't show up on the day or something. So we need people to be committed.
Okay, we'll talk more about that as soon as we return from this commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. The conversation with Miss Laura Eglishaw will continue after this short commercial break.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
I'm April Cummings with your headlines. Young leaders and student advocates announce a youth-led candidate forum in December. All 19 members of parliament and new candidates who will be running for the 2025 elections are invited to participate in discussions regarding national priorities and key political issues. The forum is planned for Thursday, the 19th of December from 6 to 8 p.m. at the South Sound Civic Center. The event is being run in partnership with Inclusion Cayman, Sustainable Cayman, Protect Our Future, the Cayman Islands CARICOM Youth Ambassadors, Alex Panton Foundation, and the Alex Panton Foundation's Youth Ambassadors Program. The group says it will provide a form on social media platforms for all guests to register. You can find out more by visiting youth.ambs.ky on Instagram and the Youth Ambassador KY page on Facebook. In international headlines, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago says a fast payments arrangement along the lines of India's Unified Payments Interface is being introduced in 2025. The Ministry of Digital Transformation and Central Bank are in discussions with their Indian counterparts on the mechanics of the arrangement and say a pilot is being scheduled for the first half of 2025 to test the system, with a goal of a full rollout by the end of the year. The Caribbean Development Bank believes that early warning systems tailored to each island's specific needs could significantly improve disaster preparedness and resilience in the region. A recent discussion at COP29 highlighted the importance of these systems in mitigating the impacts of climate change. The CDB has been working with regional partners to strengthen early warning systems and has been upgraded by the Green Climate Fund to support larger projects in the area. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
You can now renew your driver's license or motor vehicle license online, and you don't need an ESID number. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
This holiday season, let Kirk Market do the roasting so you can do the hosting. Visit in-store or shop online and order your traditional family feast, complete with classic roasted turkey and ham, all the tasty sides and trimmings. Let the chefs at Kirk Market be your holiday helpers so you can spend less time in the kitchen. Order online at kirkmarket.ky or visit in-store today. And don't forget to visit the florist at Kirk Market to find the perfect centerpiece for your table. There's no place like Kirk Market for the holidays.
Radio Cayman Talk Today continues.
Good afternoon and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me Miss Laura Eccleshaw. And I'm going to throw the mic back over to her because I want her to be able to get as many details as possible, and also that we're planning to have her back on again one day during the course of the week as well, where she will be accompanied by others in the studio. Miss Laura.
Yes, so going back to the volunteer, we were talking about how important it is for, reduce crime, for a healthy environment. We're trying to get a lot of people to come out and try to volunteer with us. And one of the other things that the volunteer, because we have quite a few volunteer groups in West Bay already. We've got the National Trust West Bay District. We've got the West Bay Beautification Task Force. I'm wearing a shirt that says Life Literacy is for Everyone. And we've got quite a few other ones as well. Neighborhood Watch. So there's a lot of volunteer groups that need more volunteers for, not just Cayman Community Spirit. And one of the things we'd like to mention, Cayman's obligation, was during COP26, I remember the Premier at the time, Wayne Panton, had said, and there were pledges made for that as well, we need to cut Cayman's carbon dioxide emission by almost 2/3, right? And then there was something else said and the Premier today, Juliana O'Connor, just came back from Samoa, where again they were pledging things about sustainable development. Cayman will do its part in sustainable development and environmental resilience. So a lot of the volunteer groups that we're on, Plastic Free Cayman, beach cleanups, there's so many of those environmental groups as well that I'm not even mentioning because there are quite a lot of them. They need help as well, and we need to hold our government accountable for all of these environmental pledges that they have decreed or that they have pledged and had contracts. Going back to, I think it's the white paper, if you don't remember, 1999.
Yes.
Robin Cook, there was a white paper done back then. And the government had promised back then, it was a contract between the UK and the overseas development territories. And the pledges were, regarding a range of fundamental issues like the constitutional link, citizenship, the environment, financial standards, good governance, human rights, and then Britain pledges to defend the overseas territories to encourage their sustainable development. And I'm mentioning sustainable development and environment a lot because a lot of the volunteer groups that we volunteer with have to do with the environment, with taking care of the environment, to having a healthy community, to reducing crime. So these pledges that our government did a long time ago, and with the UK, with the election coming up next year, we need to remind our MPs and our government about these pledges that were done and what they're going to do about them now. How do we continue to keep them? It's a contract that we undertook, and it should be taken seriously.
Definitely. I'm trying to, if you can continue talking. I'm trying to find the communique that was just issued in relation to the Joint Ministerial Council meeting that took place that ended, I think it was Thursday or Friday in the United Kingdom, to see, what has been said about sustainability, in there as well. So, if you will continue.
While you're looking for that, I'll also mention again, as I did last week, the Environmental Charter. The Environmental Charter was signed by Mr. McKeeva Bush and Ms. Valerie Amos, and it was a pledge as well. And that came about after the white paper. So the white paper started first, and then the Environmental Charter happened after. And I'll read a few of the notes and the promises. It was to recognize that all people need a healthy environment for their well-being and livelihoods, and that all can help to conserve and sustain it. So you've got conservation and sustainability there again. To identify environmental opportunities, cost and risk in all policies and strategies. So now we have strategies and policies. Policies are important, and this is election year next year. And even though I'm a volunteer concerned citizen, I'm a voter as well, and everything is connected. So, when we're driving to work in the morning and there's road rage or there's, something happen, it's a cause and effect. So we want to make sure that our roads are safe for people to drive to school, drive to work. At the moment, there's so much traffic, right? And again, community groups can help with identifying things like, okay, what's the biggest traffic area? Like, what can we do about it? There are little things that everyone can do something for. So nothing is in isolation. The Environmental Charter also says to contribute towards the protection and improvement of the global environment, to safeguard and restore native species, habitats, and landscape features. And landscape features is an important one too, because we've seen our landscape feature in Cayman, the beach, change so much, right? So this is something that we pledged that we would protect and control or eradicate invasive species. Protecting and restoring native species is also, the marine comes into that, because we've got all the coral reefs that protect us from hurricane surges. And everyone's been reading the paper lately about maybe the sand dredging that might need to be replenished. Things like that shouldn't be done without some sort of environmental assessment, because one of the reasons people come to Cayman, divers, snorkelers, families that come stay over, they come for the clarity of the water, right? They don't come because Cayman's a financial sector. They come because they want to go to the beach, it's safe, they want to have a good time, they're on holiday. If we start doing things that might ruin the clarity of our seas, of our marine environment, we won't have that tourism sector.
Precisely, yeah.
So all of these undertakings and suggestions need to be taken very seriously, and environmental studies need to be done. So again, this is part of community, because we all live here, we're all in the same boat. This is our livelihoods, right? So we have to take it seriously. I'm not sure if you found what you were looking for, but one of the number 10 on the Environmental Charter was to study and celebrate our environmental heritage as a treasure to share with our children.
Okay, yeah. So in this joint communique issued, what the UK Foreign and Commonwealth and Development Office and what the minister responsible said, it says that they welcome the Foreign Secretary's commitment that action on climate and nature crisis will be central to the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office's work, which builds on the Prime Minister's commitment that climate and nature will be at the center of the cross-UK government's mission. They recognized overseas territories' stewardship for internationally important and unique environments and ecosystems. As part of their global British family, the overseas territories are responsible for protecting 94% of unique British biodiversity. Together, the UK and overseas territories oversee 1/5 of our global marine estate, stretching across the 7 major oceans. It is these precious marine and terrestrial environments that the overseas territories and their communities are dependent upon, which is what you've said before, for their livelihood. The United Kingdom government continues to work in partnership with the overseas territories to support the protection of their environment and help address biodiversity loss as well. A lot of words, but how much of it will actually be put into action is the question.
Yes, and back in 2001, when the 26th of September, when this environmental charter was written, the pledge that the Cayman Islands government did, and again there were 11 pledges then, and one was to bring together government departments, representatives of local industry and commerce, environment and heritage organizations, the governor's office, individual environmental champions, and other community representatives in a forum. Now, that is something that we haven't had or hasn't seen lately. There's been Plan Cayman, there's been other things by other parties, but when it comes to the community getting together and sort of a public, consultation, we haven't really seen an environmental government department doing this, and that's something we should do next year before election. Have people come down in different districts. Of course, you need to have a meeting place for these districts to meet in, and places like West Bay, we don't even have a town hall anymore, right? And I know a lot of West Bayers really want to have a district council, and I'm sure all other districts could benefit from that. A district council would be so important with helping government with these environmental charter pledges, putting them together and actually doing something and seeing it happen, not just talking about it once every 4 years and then nothing happens.
Does your group have a position in terms of the that you will take as far as candidates in the upcoming general election and their views on advisory district councils? Because we've heard a lot of talk about it, but very little in terms of implementation. Those who bemoan the fact that we really don't have any legislation, but they have tried to put some sort of patchwork together to at least have some semblance of advice being given. Is your group going to take a position in terms of
there have been
those
meetings.
who?
There have been meetings by different groups. I can't say my group. I wouldn't say I have a group that I'm volunteering in a lot of groups. But there have been talk about the last few years about the district council, and I know a lot of and big turnouts as well. We had a meeting at Pappagallo a few years back, and everyone was talking about district council. We want it to happen. I think there is a policy already about district council, so that will have to be looked into from a legal standpoint to see what can be done. But everyone seems to be asking for it, and somehow the government of the past didn't seem to want to do anything about implementing when half of the people have the power. I don't know. But I'm sure that's going to be big on the agenda this year, or 2025. And it needs to happen because district council can help with other things as well, like agriculture, for example. For example, we have a big problem with chicken and fowl, right? After Hurricane Ivan, they got out, they started breeding, they're all over the place. Department of Agriculture hasn't really gone and collected them. They started to do it a little bit when people called them, but now they don't anymore. So the government department responsible for something that's a nuisance at the moment has fallen short. But perhaps if we had a district council or district councils, people could get together and say, look, we're going to collect. These chickens came from people's coops back in the day. Have sort of help people or assist families to have more coops, put some chickens back. They won't be eating them, but when the young chickens have more chickens, that will be something that could be, livelihood, eggs and food for hurricane time, hurricane season.
I mean, how expensive imported eggs are.
No one is suggesting that. We're wasting this resource that's right, it's in the roads, in the bush, everywhere, the fowl. Instead of euthanizing them, they could be used for the future. So that's one thing that district councils could do. And there's lots of other things within agriculture itself. That Cayman needs to do.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, Miss Laura. When we return, we will continue the conversation. Folks, please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
This Thanksgiving, the Ministry of Health and Wellness would like to encourage you to hold the salt. 12% of Cayman residents always or often add salt or salty sauce to their food. Diets high in salt are associated with raised blood pressure, increased risk of heart diseases, gastric cancer, and kidney disease. To learn more, log on to www.gov.ky/steps or follow us on Facebook. Let's step into wellness together, Cayman.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Protect your computers and mobile devices with security software to defend against cyber attacks through viruses, malware, and other online threats. Be aware of unsecure Wi-Fi connections when in public. If you need to access your online banking or sensitive information on your mobile devices, try disabling the Wi-Fi and switching to data from your mobile network. If you suspect a fraud attempt, please contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The biggest luxury sale of the year is back again. For 4 days only, Kirk Freeport's Black Friday weekend sale will have once-a-year deals on jewelry, watches, fragrances, accessories, and more. From Thursday, November 28th until Monday, December 2nd, you can find unbeatable discounts from your favorite brands at Kirk Freeport's network of locations at The Strand, Cardinal Avenue, Bayshore Mall, and its La Perfumerie stores. Visit KirkFreeport.com for details. Don't miss out on the year's best deals at Kirk Freeport.
Do you want to make a difference this holiday season? Well, join the Lions Club of Grand Cayman in spreading joy and helping those in need. On Saturday, November 30th, Lions members will be at all Foster's locations, Kirk Market, Kirk Home Center, and both A.L. Thompson's locations, collecting funds for the needy. Your generosity can bring smiles to those who need it most and brighten our community this holiday season. Together, we can make a difference. See you on November 30th.
Together, the Lions Club of Grand Cayman and you can make a difference. See you November 30th. Radio Cayman Talk Today continues.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We're on the last leg of the show. Got a little late start, but we're going to have Miss Laura Eglishaw back in the studio with us another day during the week. She is the founder of Cayman Community Spirit, bringing back the old days of the community spirit in the Cayman Islands. She has asked me to share this section of the joint communique that was issued after the Joint Ministerial Council meeting in the United Kingdom, and under the heading of Environment and Climate Change, the communique states that we welcome the UK government's commitment to expand the Blue Belt program to enhance marine protection and sustainable management of their marine environments. We note that the Cayman Islands have most recently joined Blue Belt in September of 2023, whilst future funding for Darwin Plus remains subject to business planning and spending review processes. We note strong support from the overseas territories for its continuation. We welcome the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, known as DEFRA, resuming work on development of the new overseas territories biodiversity strategy, and we will strive for its publication in early 2025, working in partnership to implement our collective goals and local priorities thereafter. We affirm the importance of the overseas territories' participation in international fora alongside the UK to promote our collective interests. We welcome the overseas territories' attendance at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP29, which you heard Ms. Eglishaw mention in her opening remarks as well, and the 16th meeting of the Convention on Biological Diversity, COP16, as part of the UK delegation as well. Ms. Eglishaw.
Yes, it's important that people, or that we all, become educated and informed about these pledges and what's happening regarding the environment. so that we can know, what part we can play, what we can do. Because a lot of people just feel sort of, I think, helpless, like, oh, I can't do anything or nothing will change. But every little one thing we do makes a change. So just trying to encourage people not to give up. Come on out to the free health screening, and we can talk more then as well on December the 7th at West Bay Heritage Park. And there are quite a few other groups in West Bay too that, like I said, need your help. The West Bay Beautification Committee have been doing quite a lot, and going back to the old time, how the old time grandparents used to, like keep the cemeteries clean, not just at Christmas time, but other times. They would go with their little rosemary broom and put the sand and keep it. Things like that, I think it would be nice to go back to make sure that everything looks the way it used to look, and the plants are there, nothing's invasive, So that's another thing we'd like to go back to keep doing for Cayman as well. But regarding the pledge with the Blue Belt, I think you said it was, we've always talked in Cayman a lot about trade schools, right? And one of the trade schools that we could have had in Cayman is a marine trade school. There are a lot of young, especially young males out there that probably would like to have that sort of work, looking and researching in the water, snorkeling, finding things, and making a job out of it. That could be part of this sort of Blue Belt, and being aware and researching our marine environment, keeping a healthy environment. So there's so many things that we can do if we use your imagination to think about how we can incorporate these pledges that we've done. And there was funding for most of them as well, right? There's a lot of money put away for a lot of these environmental. So we need to start doing something about them. And putting Cayman on the map for, okay, fine, we're finally taking our pledges seriously and we're doing something about it. Instead of just overdevelopment, our landscape has changed completely. There's hardly that many mangroves left inland anymore. Everything's being dredged, everything's being pulled up. So yes, I think we have a lot to do when it comes to for COP29 to do our part.
Now you mentioned, we spoke earlier about the advisory district councils. There was a time when we saw, and I've worked in the elections office, and we saw the population of West Bay sort of like shifting and declining. Now we see a revival of that. We see more and more development taking place in West Bay. How important is it for the people of West Bay who are impacted by this development to have a say in terms of how the district of West Bay should continue to be developed?
We had a meeting, and that was regarding the Plan Cayman. And there were a lot of West Bayers that came out from different parts of West Bay. It was very well attended. And there was a lot of outcry about overdevelopment, especially Northwest Point and the coastal areas. People who could see the sunset once can't see it anymore because now we have 5-story buildings and whatever. And they're all the way down to the Iron Shore as well, which is quite dangerous for an island that, has hurricanes, and the Iron Shore protects the sea surge. So almost everyone I know at that meeting was bemoaning the fact that we have not been sustaining our environment in a positive way. The people that live more inland and not coastal were getting flooded out because of people developing and filling up, and then they were left with the flooding. So yeah, it's a huge problem. Traffic is always a problem everywhere in Cayman. People from the east probably feel that more than from the west. And that isn't necessarily, we don't need more roads either. We just need to maybe sort of control the amount of cars on the road and how they're used. Because if you're driving to Easton in the morning, there is no there's no traffic going up. Everything is coming down. And then the reverse in the afternoon, right, or the evening after work. So there are things that should be handled properly, constructively. And maybe a moratorium on the development and in some aspects, like for hotels, for example, or condos. So yeah, I think that's something when the election comes that a lot of people should speak to their MPs, insist on having meetings and say, we want to have, meetings more often, because we've hardly had any meetings. I haven't seen any meetings in Georgetown North, where I'm living at the moment, and talk about the things that we want to see our politicians do, and do within the 4 years that they're there, and not just hand it over to the next 4 years to someone to undo, right? Because that happens all the time too. So each district get together, maybe form your own district council, whether it is a legal one yet or not. It can become that later. Get an agenda, put all the things that you want to see done, and have a meeting, or have several meetings.
Okay, I'm going to just check the WhatsApp to see if we got any feedback from anyone in that regard. Now, let's go back to the free health screening, the health fair. You haven't chosen the health by accident. There are, and I mentioned it earlier, challenges that people are having in terms of, affordable health care in the Cayman Islands. And
I know. I mean,
how important is
the prices are ridiculous at the moment, because like going for fish, the fish has gone up so much since COVID. The prices have gone up, but people can live healthily without having to spend that much too. For example, a lot of people like to put sugar in their heavy cake, right? There are other things you can put in that isn't so dangerous for your body, like agave nectar, which is a low glycemic sugar or sweetener. Coconut sugar is much better for you. So white sugar, no. But there are other alternative sweeteners you can use. So I think if people start researching and start getting more information on what healthy foods they can affordably buy, that's one. Greens, greens and veggies, fruits, definitely.
Yeah. One of our listeners wanted to know how can you be contacted, and I believe this is looks like a UK number. I don't know if you want to give it out publicly or we can send it to the person afterwards. What I'll do is if you give it out public, I'll type it in at the same time so that the person can get it as well.
Yes, well, we all know the area code in Cayman is 345, but my cell number is 916-4020. And we're in the telephone directory anyway, so there's no data breach here.
916-4020. Okay.
So for anyone listening overseas, it's 345-916-4020.
Got it.
And I'm happy to receive calls to help our Cayman community.
Excellent. Okay, want to give you an opportunity for some closing comments, and if you want to mention your plans to come back on, hopefully on Friday, and you hope to have some of your colleagues, at least one in the studio with you as well, if you want to preempt Friday by advertising it from now.
Okay, and I just want to mention as well, again, the pledges that we've made, because we didn't go through all the 11 pledges, which is fine. We can always continue that another time. But with the COP26, I think it was the JL Lions was on. We had some students go, and one of the things that they mentioned was that government had promised that the climate change policy that was drafted in 2011 would be updated. And also these new regulations were implemented to enhance protection of approximately 50% of Cayman's coastal shelf as marine parks. Now, I'm not sure how much of that has happened, or if any, because where Hogstay Bay is now used to be a marine park, with the cruise, and I know that was changed at the last government opposition to Anchorage Park. That has to change. That so many tourists, when they come off the cruise ships, when you're driving in town in the morning, they just stay right there and swim. It's clear, it's beautiful. That needs to be protected again as a marine park, not an Anchorage park. Things we've sort of been undoing
like
things
the
that were
wreck of the Cali and the Balboa out there that people could snorkel around.
Yeah, so the whole conversation regarding the cruise ships and the pier, that's a very fragile one. I mean, no one's against cruise ships, but they're going to come anyway. They're docked out there. We need permanent mooring for sure. But we cannot endanger our marine life that we have now. That draws people to us. And where the fishermen's little, where the fishermen sell their...
right spot.
Most mornings, right now there's only one or two cruise ships in, but cruise ships, they just go right there and they swim right there. They stay there. It's so clear and it's beautiful. They don't really need to go, anywhere else. So that's something that we have in front of us, and we're willing to lose it.
Yeah.
For what?
And I've seen them there even catch and release the tarpons that are in that area that to stay there and feed because of the fishermen and stuff like that. I've seen tourists there with their rod and reel, catching them and releasing them again.
And again, environmental things is something that we can, since we have a few cruise ships coming anyway, and they probably will continue to come because they want to, as long as we don't destroy the clarity of our water and we protect everything that we have that bring them here. We could introduce more things that they can do around the Hogstay Bay area. Like you said, like releasing turtles, for example. The turtle farm does that now. It could become a thing that's on their program when they come maybe twice a year. Cayman should be known for environmental protection. We should have more, I think they call them green leaf condos, where they more geared to environmental protection, things like that. But that should be something that we're leading the rest of the Caribbean, and we're not. I think the rest of the Caribbean are much better with their environmental protection than we are.
Now, will Cayman Community Spirit also address the whole issue of rising sea levels? And because here in the Cayman Islands, for some reason, we are appear to be ignoring that whole phenomenon that's going to hit us at some point in time. Are you addressing that area?
I don't think the rise in sea level is something that is an immediate danger. The immediate danger is overdevelopment, as we have seen from the 7 Mile beach erosion. We used to have a setback that protected the beach ridge, so that was fine. We never got the erosion, ever. You know, Cayman's been here how long? I don't know, 100,000 years, whatever. And storms have come, storms have gone, and we've never had that destruction. Yes, the sand shifts and moves up and down, but never complete erosion like we're seeing now. That's overdevelopment. That's getting rid of the beach ridge, right? The foundation.
But some of those structures that were there felt that they were safe at the, 20, 30 years ago because they consider themselves being distant from the water's edge. So I do believe, to a certain extent, the rise in sea levels has
well,
had an
if it's not
impact on it
documented, then we can't talk about it. It has to be something that's factual for us to really say that's happening.
Okay.
I know it's happening in places like the Maldives, but the other countries have like a sandbar too, right, where things actually sink. So I don't think Cayman's that category. We have Iron Shore. If you go and look around the Iron Shore areas, there is no sea level rise there. But there is destruction of the beach, that's for sure. And there's a domino effect from when, for the last, I would say 10, 15 years, when things started happening. You noticed it with the Marriott. We probably all noticed it with the Marriott, first of all. Not when they were built, but when they extended out, right? And then you get the domino effect from that. So then it'll affect another one and another one. And even the ones that were built far enough back at the beginning, it would probably never have any beach problem, or having it now because of this domino effect. So it is a problem because of that. And it's a problem that needs to be addressed.
Okay, give you an opportunity for some closing comments.
At the Plan Cayman meeting over in Georgetown, they did mention sea level, and they said that Cayman should not expect to see sea level rise until maybe the next 67 years.
Really?
So that was a comment that was made and written at the Georgetown meeting. You can probably go back and see that somewhere. But climate change obviously is happening, and there's no denying that.
No.
The sea level rise, and you get surges, of course, when you have storms and hurricanes and all the rest of it. You do get that up and down. But if
and the king tides.
Yeah, and the king tide, that's definitely something that's real. But if you look at that little rock up by Hudson Bay, you know, where they have, when the Pirates Week happens, there's a little rock up there.
We used to call it the key.
Yeah. So that's probably a good key to tell you whether there's any sea level rise at a flat, calm day without any king tide. Nothing has risen there unless we develop that area, and then there's a domino effect there. Then maybe we might see something happen. But
okay. Well, Ms. Eglishaw, I want to thank you very much. Look forward to having some more discussions with you and getting
thank you.
To more details. As well, I want to thank all of those who participated in the show today. Have a great day, and as usual, we ask the good Lord, please bless these 3 beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Here is where tradition never dies. This is